Machachev versus Porier. It's Hughesy time. 201 fight predictions right. At the time you're watching this video, it could be more, it could be less. 59 wrong. It's not about that, it's about the breakdown. The breakdown's more important. If I get the breakdown right, that's great. Never gamble. Word of advice. Yeah. Okay. Dustin Porier and Machachev, great fight. And we've got Sean Strickland versus Costa, Paulo Costa. Good style clash. Busyness versus physicality. Okay, I'm going to get that one out of the way. I think that Paulo Costa is done. He's just a really static guy with good leg kicks, but I don't think that causes Strickland any problems. Strickland has actually got a very good UFC fighting IQ, as he showed against Adesanya. He came up short against Duplessis, but that fight was close, and people are saying he got robbed. Again, he beat Adesanya. I think Strickland's on the up. He's a very good fighter. Comes across as some bunking idiot. No, he's very well clued up in what he's doing. The way he controls arms and he times movements, and he feints a lot, and he always keeps you guessing, and he pushes. I think he's just too busy for Costa. Anyone with a little bit of busyness always beats Costa. He's let me down a lot, Costa, in terms of watching him be brilliant, a savage when he fought Romero, to having drug allegations, to basically just being a juicehead and just fighting, and the only guy he beat is Luke Rockhold, which he came out of retirement and did well. So Costa's disappoints me because he could do a lot better. He did okay against Whittaker for a few rounds, but Whittaker, again, just anyone that busies Costa troubles him. And I think Strickland is jittery, very, very jittery with his upright stance. But it's not a dumb stance. It's a very educated, keep you guessing, arms there, always. So you don't know what to lead off, when he's going to hit you. Yeah. Like my dance moves, I'm going with Strickland to beat Costa. I think Costa is just not active enough. He doesn't push it, and because he's so big, the tank goes. He's too static. Strickland's got the lanky build, lean. He's just a big guy, and he's got the range. Costa's in for a world of trouble in this fight unless he can get Strickland to the ground, which would be his best option, as Duplessis found out. But I think Strickland keeps it on the feet and possibly knocks out Paulo Costa. Tough thing to do. I'll edge Strickland on points. Sean Strickland's going to get the W on points. I'll just edge that. I don't think he'll have the power advantage over Costa, but he will have the busy factor. He'll volume the fight to a decision. Strickland wins for me. And now we've got Machachev versus Dustin Porier. Now, I am the world's biggest Dustin Porier critic and fan at the same time. Every time he fights, I always say I don't think he can win. And sometimes I'm right, like against Oliveira, but sometimes I'm wrong, like the last fight. Now, I didn't take his experience, I didn't give it enough credit. I should have gave his experience a whole lot more credit than it's, because Dustin Porier is one of the best fighters in the UFC. And listen to what I just said, fighters. I've never regarded him as one of the most skilled, but maybe I should start doing that now. Because now he's getting to the level where he's not just a dirty boxer. He's actually a very well-rounded wrestler, fighter. He can do the odd submissions here and there. So he's got a lot to his game. And now there is a documentary on Prime or Netflix which goes back to his early career and the upbringing he took to get in the UFC. It shows the the hall venues, the leisure centre sort of venues, the rise of Dustin Porier. This guy's done it the hard way. He lost early on fights to Conor McGregor. Obviously, he was on an undefeated record, I think, or he'd lost a few fights. But whenever he loses, he's always like Chandler, always in an exciting fight like Gaethje. That fight was incredible. And his last fight was incredible. So why can't he beat Machachev? Because I've got to rule him out again. And the reason, because Machachev's a savage. Nobody can out-wrestle him. And as proven against Volk, he's striking. Machachev can mix it up. He's just that guy at the moment. Is this, again, I feel like this is like the Volk fight where Machachev's just had enough rest to rev himself up, whereas Porier's coming off a pretty hard win. Tough win against Saint Dude, whatever he would call, Saint-Benin, I forgot his name. The French guy, the Marine, who I thought would win because of his mentals. I thought he would be a bit strong. Dustin Poirier's not a joke. He can push the fight. I think on this one, I'm going to go with Machachev again. Because I think Porier, although he has the skills, which he's shown now, he's earned my respect even more now as a skillsmith as opposed to just a brawler. But I think Machachev's just that guy in the divisions after what he did to Oliveira, especially after what he did to Volk. Being Volk was smaller, I just think Dustin Poirier, I always go back to timing in fights. If you just had a hard fight and you come out the gate, you may have the momentum, but you're going to be shot, battle shot. And against a guy like Machachev who just controls you and mauls you when he gets you there, it could be like Khabib 2.0. Now, if Poirier has sort of learned from the Khabib fight, which he clearly has, maybe he's got a chance, but he was in trouble against Bentencourt. Now, if that's Machachev, it's over, and I think it's over. I think this has been a great career from Dustin Poirier, man. What a legend. He's fought everyone. He's never BS'd. He showed great respect. He doesn't do cheap promos. He helps causes. He doesn't do fake call-outs. Everything's from the heart. He always respects his opponent. He's that guy. I think Dustin Poirier is the man. He's not arrogant. He's just humble and a very, very, very well-seasoned, respected fighter. One of the most respected in the UFC for me. He's got my respect, man. I think he's brilliant. But this is it for him, I think. Maybe not at the top level against Machachev. I think he's going to struggle. Machachev will get the win in round 2 or 3. I'm going with the 3rd round, maybe the 4th. If it's a 5-rounder, I think Mac pushes it with the wrestling. He's going to wear him out. And that's all Khabib did. Khabib just wore fighters out. By the time they get back on the feet, like before the fight, after the fight, good job, man. It's like the whole game at the beginning, but then you see, and you can imagine, like, I can't imagine being zapped like that. Just the energy sucked out of you. It'll take everything out of him, and Machachev's just a legend at wrestling. I'd go as far as to say probably he could be the next Khabib, man. It's too early yet. Still too early, but look at the calibre of fighters he's beating now. Volk, Charles Oliveira. He's not fighting no mugs here. He's beating good fighters. But he needs a few more on his record, and a win over Dustin Poirier now will prove that Machachev is a killer. I'd somehow like to see him fight Chimaev, but I think he's too big in it. It's the weight thing, but it's Khamzat Chimaev. We need to see him more active now because he called everyone out and not fought anyone. Apart from Gilbert Burns. Like, he's not... He made a statement against him in his last fight against a absolutely drained Usman, who came in last minute, I think. So they don't count for me. They sort of do, but they sort of don't. But he's a killer, Machachev, and he's just unbeatable at the moment. I think he's just that guy. So again, at least he mixes it up with the punching and the knockouts now. He's trying to throw that into the mix. I'm going with Machachev to just to out wrestle Porier. That's quite tough because Porier can fight, man. He's a big guy. You have to take into account the size of Porier as well. It's not like Volk. This is the natural at the weight. But I always revert to timing and just coming off a win and then fighting Machachev. Maybe if he'd have fought someone lower rank and then fought him. But he's going straight for the big shot because he's earned it. And I just think the timing suits Machachev because he's had more time to heal and train for this fight. And a fresh fighter as good as Machachev will capitalise on a fighter who's coming off a win but won't be as fresh in this fight. That's the way I feel. You never know. Doesn't always work like that. He might be fresher because he's quicker off a win. He's more game active. But I believe active and recuperation will favour Machachev over Porier because Machachev has had more time to recuperate after his wins, if you get it. Listen, I'm not some fitness expert, can't you tell? But, however, I do believe that has a lot to do with wins and being more on time and on point in the fight if you've had more time to recuperate. I'm not saying it's an advantage, but it will favour Machachev, and I just think his skills are just, as a wrestler, are top-notch. I'm going with Machachev for the win. It would be great if Porier could pull this one off and go out on an absolute blast, because he's a legend. But Machachev is too. Machachev wins for me round 4. He zaps Porier and stops the fight. Peace.